हेलो एंड वेलकम टू दिस वीडियो। आज की इस वीडियो में हम लोग डिस्कस करेंगे द ऑपरेशंस इन लेथ मशीन। दैट मीन्स विच आर द वेरियस पॉसिबल ऑपरेशंस दैट वी कैन परफॉर्म ओवर द लेथ मशीन। ओके, so this is an image of lathe machine. So lathe machine is basically used for machining the cylindrical component. So in mechanical engineering you will find the two basic type of machine, that is lathe machine and milling machine. So lathe machines are used for processing the cylindrical component, whereas the milling machine is used for processing the prismatic component. The cylindrical component will have two dimension, that is length and diameter, whereas the prismatic component will have three dimension, length, breadth and height. So that is a basic difference between lathe and milling. Okay, so here you can see the image of lathe machine. So now this portion is known as headstock. Here you can see the headstock. So headstock carries a gear train for, because you want to rotate the workpiece at different RPM. And why it is important to rotate the workpiece at different RPM? Because the RPM of workpiece depends on the tool material as well as workpiece material. If it is a ductile material, then you will rotate the workpiece at a very high speed, and if it is a hard material, so you have to process it at low RPM. That means there is a requirement of different speed, and that speed reduction or speed enhancement, that is done inside the headstock. Then after headstock there is a spindle on which the chuck is mounted. So spindle is a rotary member, and on the spindle there will be a chuck. So the chuck is basically used for clamping the workpiece or for holding the workpiece. The chuck is used. Now there are different types of chuck, like 3-jaw chuck, 4-jaw chuck, okay, depending on the number of jaws. Even there is a type of magnetic chuck also. So depending on its function or depending on the number of jaws, there are various type of chuck, and chuck is basically used for holding the workpiece. After that there is a tool post for keeping your cutting tools. Here you can use a single point cutting tool, mostly on CNC lathe machine. On lathe machine single point cutting tool is used. So here you can keep either 4 or more than that single point cutting tool over the tool post. Then there is a compound rest. After that there is a cross slide for giving the feed in vertical direction, that is perpendicular to lathe axis. After that there is a tailstock. So tailstock is basically used for supporting the long workpiece. Okay, so the long workpiece, or say long cylinder or long shaft, that is supported in between headstock and tailstock. Then there is a hand wheel. After that there is a guideways. So guideways are basically used for guiding the tailstock. Then the lathe bed is there. Then there is a lead screw. So lead screw is basically used for cutting the threads. So your carriage, that is, get engaged with the lead screw, and then you can cut the thread over the cylindrical object. Then there are legs of the lathe machine. Then there is a apron. After that there is a carriage that can slide over the bed. Then there is a chip pan where you can collect the chip. Chip is nothing but the waste material, or you can say the leftover material after machining. That is nothing but chip. Again there are various types of chip, like continuous chips, then chips with built up edge, then short chips, discontinuous chip we can say. So these are nothing but various types of chip, and that depends on the RPM on which you are processing the material or type of material of the workpiece. Okay, so these are nothing but different parts of lathe machine. Okay, now we will see the operations that are possible on the lathe machine. So the very first operation, that is facing. So it is the first operation that is done on the workpiece. It is a machining operation which is done to produce the flat surfaces at the end of the workpiece. This operation is performed by feeding the tool perpendicular to the axis of rotation of the chuck. So here you can see The workpiece is clamped in the chuck and it is rotating, and this is a tool, and this is the direction of feed. So this arrow represents the direction of feed. So basically facing is nothing but the first operation that we perform on the workpiece, and the facing operation is done to get a flat surface, okay, to produce the flat surface at the end of the workpiece. Suppose the end of the workpiece is irregular, in that case we perform the facing operation in order to produce a flat surface at the end. Okay, and here the tool is fed perpendicular to the axis of the lathe. That is very important. So this operation is performed by feeding the tool perpendicular to the axis of rotation of the chuck. Okay, so this is the first operation, that is facing. Next operation, that is known as turning. So in turning operation, the excess material is removed from the surface of the workpiece to produce a cylindrical surface of desired shape and size. During the turning operation, the feed is moved along the axis of rotation of the chuck. It reduces the diameter of cylindrical workpiece. Okay, so turning is the second operation that we can perform over the lathe machine. So basically in turning operation, we can remove the material over the surface, and by removing the material, we are basically reducing the diameter of the workpiece. So here also you can see the workpiece is shown in yellow color and it has two different diameter. This operation is known as step turning operation. So this single job has two different diameter. Okay, so in turning operation, the material is removed over the surface of the workpiece and we are basically decreasing or reducing the diameter of the workpiece, and tool is moving along the axis of the lathe machine or along the axis of the spindle. So in facing operation, the tool is moving perpendicular to the axis of the spindle, whereas in turning operation, the tool is moving along the axis of the spindle. Next operation, that is boring. So the process of removing material from the hole of the workpiece is called as boring. Holes are bored with the help of single point cutting tool. Now here you can see the boring operation. So boring operation is nothing but enlarging the previously drilled hole. मतलब boring में सबसे important condition ये है कि आपके पास पहले से hole drill हुआ चाहिए, उसके बाद आप उसका डायमीटर इंक्रीज करोगे. दैट इज नथिंग बट बोरिंग ऑपरेशन, एंड दिस ऑपरेशन यू कैन परफॉर्म ओवर द लेथ मशीन विद द हेल्प ऑफ सिंगल पॉइंट कटिंग टूल. सो यहाँ पे आप देख सकते हो ये होल पहले से इसमें है, उसमें आपको सिंगल पॉइंट कटिंग टूल पास करना है और इंटरनली मटेरियल रिमूव करते जाना है. सो एट द एंड यू कैन यू कैन इंक्रीज द डायमीटर ऑफ दैट होल, एंड दैट इज नथिंग बट बोरिंग ऑपरेशन. नेक्स्ट ऑपरेशन, ड्रिलिंग. It is a process of making hole in the workpiece by the use of drill. The drill is held in the tailstock and the drilling operation is done by advancing the drill in the workpiece by rotating the handle of the tailstock. Okay, so you can perform drilling operation over lathe machine also. So for that you have to clamp or you have to fix the drill bit in the tailstock, and then the tailstock is advanced towards the workpiece by rotating the handle which is provided on the tailstock, and with that you can perform the drilling operation. So यहाँ पे येलो कलर में आप ये वर्कपीस देख रहे हो और ये ड्रिल टूल है या ड्रिल बिट है जिसको आपको टेलस्टॉक में फिक्स करना है और फिर टेलस्टॉक का हैंडल जो है वो रोटेट करना है. तो ये ड्रिल जो है ये आगे के डायरेक्शन में अंदर जाएगा एंड यू कैन प्रोड्यूस द होल. So drilling is nothing but the operation of making holes over the workpiece. So here you can perform drilling operation over your lathe machine with the help of tailstock by rotating its handle. So here the drill bit that is moving along the axis of the spindle. Now next operation, that is knurling. So it is a process of making indentation on the border of the workpiece. The knurling operation is done to provide a better grip on the job. It is performed by knurling tool. The knurling tool is pressed against the job to perform the knurling operation. So here in this image you can see the knurling operation. So the knurling operation is done with the help of knurling tool. The knurling tool is pressed over the surface of the workpiece to produce the pattern and that pattern is useful for gripping the, for proper grip we can say. Okay, so here you can see a knurling tool is there and it is pressed over the workpiece, and due to that what will happen, the whatever the pattern present over the knurling tool, that we can transfer to workpiece. So same pattern we will get over the surface of the workpiece. That is known as knurling operation, and knurling is done for the proper grip of the workpiece. Next operation, that is chamfering. So chamfering is the process of beveling the extreme end of the workpiece. It is done in order to remove the burr, to protect the end of the workpiece from being damaged and to have a better look. So basically in chamfering process, we are removing this material. Here you can see it do not have a sharp edge. So if the material has sharp edge, then there is a lot of chances of breakage. Okay, and in order to remove those chances of breakage, we have to remove the material over the edges, and that can removed with the help of chamfering tool. Okay, so here you can see a chamfering tool is used to remove the material over the edges. Even there are sharp edges and that may damage while handling also. So your workpiece should not have any sharp edges, and that sharp edges can be removed during chamfering operation. So this diagram is showing chamfering operation. The next operation, that is parting off. So it is a process of cutting a workpiece after it has been machined to the required shape and size. Okay, so parting off is nothing but a process of cutting the workpiece into pieces. सो ये डायग्राम में आप देख सकते हो, एक पार्टिंग टूल है ब्लैक कलर में और येलो कलर में आपका वर्क पीस है. ये पार्टिंग टूल जो है वो आगे एडवांस करते जाएगा. सो ये जो जॉब है उसके 2 पीसेस मिल जाएंगे आपको. सो बेसिकली पार्टिंग ऑफ इज़ नथिंग बट अ प्रोसेस ऑफ कटिंग ए वर्क पीस आफ्टर इट हैज़ बीन मशीन टू द रिक्वायर्ड शेप एंड साइज. सो ये जो है ये मेरा डिज़ायर्ड वर्क पीस है. इतना मिलने के बाद पार्टिंग टूल से यहाँ से ये कट हो जाएगा. So that is known as parting off operation. Next operation, that is grooving. So the process of creating a narrow slot on the workpiece is called as grooving. So here we are creating a narrow slot with the help of grooving tool, and this process is known as grooving operation. So grooving is the process of creating a narrow slot on the workpiece, that is called as grooving. It is also known as recessing or necking. So यहाँ पे आप देख सकते हो नेक फॉर्म किया है. ये completely आपको ब्रेक नहीं करना है, जस्ट एक नैरो स्लॉट क्रिएट करना है. Here you can place the O-rings or say gasket. For this purpose grooving operation is done. So here we are feeding the grooving tool perpendicular to the axis of the lathe machine. So this is grooving operation. Next operation, that is forming. So it is the process in which convex or concave or any irregular surface is formed on the workpiece with the help of forming tool. Forming tool having a required shape is used to perform a forming operation. So here you can see the workpiece that is clamped in the chuck. Okay, and this is an example of forming tool. So this is a forming tool, and that forming tool will have a same shape which is required. Okay, so यहाँ पे आप वर्कपीस को आपको एक ऐसे शेप आपको देना है. ये इस टाइप का शेप आपको वर्कपीस को प्रोवाइड करना है. इसीलिए आपने फॉर्म टूल भी वैसे ही बनाया है. इसीलिए इस टूल को कहते हैं फॉर्म टूल. जो भी शेप आपको चाहिए वही शेप का वो टूल बनेगा, राइट. और फिर आपको वो टूल को एडवांस करते जाना है तो वही शेप वर्कपीस के ऊपर प्रोड्यूस होगा. सो इट इज़ अ प्रोसेस इन विच कॉन्वेक्स, कॉन्केव और एनी इरेगुलर सरफेस इज फॉर्म ऑन द वर्कपीस विद द हेल्प ऑफ फॉर्मिंग टूल. Forming tool having the required shape is used to perform a forming operation. Okay, so this is forming operation, and here also the feed is given perpendicular to the axis of lathe. The next operation, that is taper turning. So it is a process in which a conical shape is produced on the workpiece. During taper turning, the feed is set at an angle to the workpiece. Okay, so यहाँ पे आप देख सकते हो ये टूल जो है, ये टूल को एक पर्टिकुलर एंगल दिया है वो एंगल पे आपको उसे ट्रैवल करते जाना है. So tool is moving simultaneously parallel to the axis as well as perpendicular to it. Is moving along two axes simultaneously. That is known as taper turning operation. The last operation, that is threading, that you can perform over your lathe machine. So the process of making threads on a cylindrical job is called as threading. So here you can see the process of threading. So threading tool or a single point cutting tool is used to produce the thread over a cylindrical object, and the tool is travel along. First the feed is given, and after that the tool is moving along the axis of the lathe, and the thread is produced over the surface of the cylinder. So these are the various operations that we can perform over a lathe machine. So let's summarize it. So the very first operation, that is facing, and it is basically used to produce a flat surface over the end. Then the turning, to remove the material over the surface of the workpiece to reduce its diameter. Next, boring, it is a method of enlarging the diameter of previously drilled hole. Then the drilling, it is a method of producing holes inside the object. After that, knurling. So a special knurling tool is used to generate the pattern over the workpiece for a proper grip. Then chamfering, to remove the sharp edges of the workpiece, we can use a chamfering tool for chamfering purpose. Then parting off, to break the workpiece in two pieces, we can use a parting off tool. Then grooving, so we can produce a narrow neck over the surface of the workpiece by using grooving tool. Then forming, so to get any kind of shape over the workpiece, we can use a forming tool, and that forming tool will have a same shape which is desired. Then next, taper turning. So here taper turning, we can reduce the diameter and we can produce a conical shape with the help of taper turning operation. And last one is threading. So we can generate the thread over the cylindrical workpiece with the help of either a threading tool or say single point cutting tool. So these are the operations that we can perform over a lathe machine. Thank you so much for watching my video.